Did Dr. Fauci make money from drug companies during the pandemic while he was telling you to stay home, not go to work, figure out if you can collect money somehow? Wasn't his problem. He was just fine collecting royalties from drug companies. Now, Senator Rand Paul asked him about this just directly about a year ago during Senate hearings, and he brushed off the question as ridiculous and even said, yeah, you got your talking point. Remember this?
And from which companies? Over the period of time from 2010 to 2016, 27,000 royalty payments were paid to 1,800 NIH employees. We know that not because you told us, but because we forced you to tell us through the Freedom of Information Act. Over $193 million was given to these 1,800 employees. Can you tell me that you have not received a royalty from any entity that you ever oversaw the distribution of money in research grants?
Well, first of all, let's talk about royalties.
That's the question. No, that's the question. Have you ever received a royalty payment from a company that you later oversaw money going to that company?
You know, I don't know as a fact, but I doubt it.
Well, here's the thing is, why don't you let us know? Why don't you reveal how much you've gotten and from what entities? The NIH refuses. Look, we ask them. The NIH, we ask them whether or not, who got it and how much. They refuse to tell us. They sent it redacted. Here's what I want to know. It's not just about you. Everybody on the vaccine committee, have any of them ever received money from the people who make vaccines? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me if anybody on the vaccine approval committees ever received any money from people who make the vaccines?
Soundbite number one, are you going to let me answer a question? Okay, so let me give you some information. First of all, according to the regulations, people who receive royalties are not required to divulge them even on their financial statement, according to the Bayh-Dole Act. So let me give you some example. From 2015 to 2020, the only royalties I have was my last.
Okay. So we do now have some accounting, but I think that we can get upset about Fauci. We can do that later because that's always fun. We'll just do it together as an exercise in getting our cathartic expression. But the problem here is that NIH employees are allowed to continue to receive royalties from patents and pieces of ingredients and medications that they had a hand in, and then they can promote to everybody. This is a bigger problem of what's called pharmacracy, is just that the entire system is developed for profit in order to push medication on us, right? But about the pandemic, well, it does turn out that Fauci was cashing in on royalties from drug makers. And so were a lot of NIH employees, 2,400 to be exact. Now, we're not saying that they were specifically cashing in on the COVID vaccine, but we don't know whether or not they then looked at certain, recipes or treatments for COVID and said, that one would be good, and then I'd catch a royalty on that. We don't know. We know the U.S. government, in fact, did cash in because they licensed patents to Moderna and Pfizer and the other COVID vaccine makers. But we're talking now about which doctors were accepting royalties. It hardly seems fair. Now we know this because a watchdog group called Open the Books made a Freedom of Information request asking for employment contracts, financial conflicts of interest, and confidentiality disclosure documents, plus a job description for Dr. Fauci, as well as royalties paid to NIH employees by outside entities. This was requested. They denied it, the Department of Health, and so they took them to court and filed a lawsuit in 2022. Now, ultimately, we have it. So again, these are basic questions for Dr. Fauci, who was the lead of the pandemic. Do you make money pushing any medication, not just the vaccine? So here's a classic. This is, again, a classic example of what the legal principle is cui bono, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to ask. Who is benefiting from this thing being pushed onto a population, right? It's just who benefits, cui bono. Who is benefiting here?
That's a funny word.
You like it?
I like it. I bet our kids would like that, cui bono.
I mean, it's like literally criminal.
I know. If I said it to my kids, they'd just start laughing.
It's criminal investigation 101.
Yeah.
You're like, who benefits from this?
Right.
Who's cashing in? Who is taking the money? Right.
Right.
This is fundamental question here. And it should be asked for every drug on the market, every treatment being pushed. Certain drugs were not pushed because of the antithesis of cui bono. Drugs we still cannot mention on certain platform. If you catch my drift. Do you catch my drift?
Say that again.
Never mind.
I catch it.
Okay. Thank you. David caught it.
Cui bono.
So it wasn't just people, so cui bono, well, it wasn't the people who lost their jobs for vaccine mandates. They didn't bono, right? Definitely not those people. So now to the documents. Here is the list. This organization, openthebooks.com, put them in spreadsheet form. And then what I did was just sort it by name. So I have all the ones for Fauci in one place. They asked what he had received during his time at the NIH. So you see the list goes from 2010 to 2021. Now, most of these are not directly related to the COVID vaccine. So we should be clear about that. It wasn't that he was getting royalties from that vaccine. It was just that he and other government employees were making decisions about public health recommendations while being compromised by public health. And the companies that were paying these royalties come from all over the world: China, Russia, Belarus, many US-based companies too. They get the royalties on medicines and components that are then used in the marketplace. They are financially motivated to make certain decisions because they bono, right? We covered this. You can't really hate Fauci here. You can't, don't hate the player. You should hate the game. Absolutely, I don't like this game. But the idea that Fauci wasn't benefiting, though, from the COVID vaccine is not necessarily true either. He was the highest paid federal government employee with a salary of $480,000 per year. So why does somebody make a big salary like that? Well, because they're expected to make their organization a lot of money. They're supposed to be valuable, right? Even if Fauci didn't personally profit from the COVID vaccine, he saw to it that the NIH did, and the United States government, because we learned back in February that Moderna will be paying the NIH $400 million for use of patents in the COVID vaccine, plus ongoing payments. Pfizer already made a big payout to the government for use of these patents that were done in the used in the COVID vaccine, and ongoing payments. So Fauci did, in fact, make the government a lot of money by pushing these vaccines. Absolutely, he did, and earned that almost $500,000 a year salary. So the NIH is still making a lot of money on these COVID vaccines. We know that Moderna and Pfizer will continue to pay them for use of this patent. So just keep that in mind as we see COVID vaccine information ramp up as we go into the school year and then flu season.
Just remember who's making money.
Just remember cui bono.
Cui bono. Always remember cui bono.
Yeah.
We're going to get a T-shirt for Redacted, cui bono.
You guys are so silly with that word.
Not to be confused with a Cubano, right, which is the sandwich.
Oh, a Cubano is a sandwich. Okay.
Or boner from Growing Pains. Different person.
I didn't think you were going to go there. Yeah. Or boner. Okay. Don't get your cui bono and your boner mixed up.
And Bono from YouTube.
Right. Bono from YouTube.
YouTube.
Your cui bono. Your cui boner.
He's on YouTube. So.
Ooh, boner?
Cui boner.
Oh.
No.
Cui boner, cui bono.
Bono.
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.